morning's Business Insight. Many more Cincinnatians should be back to work this year. Cincinnati's economy should add 10 to 15,000 jobs in the coming year, nearly doubling the growth it achieved last year. That is the view of Stu Hoffman, PNC Financial Services Group, Inc.'s chief economist. Stu Hoffman joins our Business Courier publisher, Jamie Smith, with more on this positive prediction. Jamie and Stu.
Thanks, Brian. Stu, thanks for being with us today.
Glad to be here.
We just heard how the weather affects the economy. Brian just told us how the job outlook is looking good. Talk a little bit more about that here in Cincinnati.
Yeah, PNC, of course, follows Cincinnati very closely. It's one of the many markets we're in, so I'm in town this week and been talking to clients, and we've taken a look at the Cincinnati economy. Last year was a little bit of a laggard, which is typical of Cincinnati. It didn't have as deep a recession. It's had a little slower recovery, but we think the pace will pick up over the course of 2014. I agree with the earlier commentator that right now we've all been frozen out, but hopefully some of these jobs will show up in construction, and 10 to 15,000 jobs. There's just over 1 million people working in the Cincinnati metropolitan area, so that'd be about an increase of 1 to 1.5%. And the unemployment rate here, it's about the national average, just close to 7%. We think as those people go back to work, the rate will fall, probably not all the way to 6%, but 6.25% by the end of this year.
Okay, great. Is there any particular industries that these jobs are coming in, or is it across many of them?
It's across many of them. Clearly, construction is part of it, but in this city, of course, a lot of business service types of jobs, some airline jobs, professional services, medical care is still providing jobs, education, and we think maybe even some state and local government jobs. The last several years, Ohio and the city's been cutting back. They've been under financial strains. That's been true all across the country. But it looks like state and local governments are in better financial health, maybe to hire a few more public safety workers and teachers and put some projects back on the boards that haven't been able to been afforded.
And you talked a little bit about construction. Is that residential? Is that commercial? Is it a combination?
Combination.
Okay.
We do think the housing market in the Cincinnati area, finally home prices are rising for the last 6 or 7 quarters. We think they'll be up this year by about 3 or 4%. So more home sales, more remodeling, but also on the commercial side as well. Not much retail, but a little bit of office building and some industrial that's going on as well in this local area.
And does that seem pretty close to what's going on nationally as well on the home building side?
Yes, very, very much what we think is going on. Cincinnati doesn't quite have the energy component. You see a lot of growth going on in other parts of Ohio, the Utica Shale area,
right.
The parts of the country that you don't kind of have that energy shale gas push, but other types of investment, and so that's the one area. I wouldn't say a lot of jobs in energy related, but in construction, manufacturing, and a host of professional and business services.
Yeah, manufacturing continues to be a big player here, and we hope that continues. Yes. All right, we talked about some of the good stuff. Is there anything bad, anything we should be cautious about going into 14?
Well, maybe it'll snow all year long, and we're in the middle of July, we'll have Christmas, but there's always things. A little less out of Washington. You know, we're not going to shut the government down again, where we passed the debt ceiling bill, so I worry a little less about that. You always worry about events in the Middle East that could have an effect on oil prices. We see the global economy, you know, things looking better in Europe. So there's always something to worry about that comes out of the blue. But right now, I'd say that the risks to the economy are balanced. As many sort of positive surprises could occur as negative shocks. And for the last couple of years, the risk have mostly been what can go wrong rather than what can go right. Now I think we have a little of both.
How much of that's hit by local decisions versus, you know, the national economy? I mean, you know, the fact we just had major shifts in our local government here. Yep. You know, there's a lot of, obviously, with our transportation issues, we're making big changes to the city. Yep. Is that affecting it a lot?
Of course it does. You know, everything has a local dimension to it, but no region's an island. And, you know, if the national economy turns out to be much weaker than we think, that's going to be a drag on Cincinnati and many other places. And if we have some positive surprises at the national level, that would work as well. So, of course, regional conditions, transportation, your government structure, as I mentioned, state and local, and the nature of your manufacturing. Autos are doing well, and that's a help to Southern Ohio. So, yes, but what is going on locally certainly can make that number 10,000 versus 15,000 but the national trends still are very important to regions like Cincinnati and across the country.
Now, comparing with the region, you're talking about just specifically Ohio, do you see a lot of differences, say, Cincinnati versus Columbus?
Well, the three C's, Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Columbus. Cincinnati is sort of in between. Columbus has grown a bit faster and a little steadier with the state government and the university. Cleveland and Northern Ohio has had a help because of the auto industry and the improvement in manufacturing. But they had a much deeper recession in the northern half of the state back in 08 and 09. So the middle tends to be a little steadier. The northern part of the state goes up and down more, and now is coming back. Cincinnati is a little bit of a steadier, but it tends to lag. Didn't have the degree, fortunately, of the recession in 08, 09 into 2010. And as I said, it sort of lagged the recovery. But maybe this is the year things pick up a little here in Cincinnati. And if not close the gap, you narrow a little bit between this region and the national trends.
Yeah. Now, I know you're based in Pittsburgh with PNC. Obviously, the energy has been tremendous. You know, push to the economy there. Is that going to continue for some time? Do you see that going away, or?
Yeah, we're not here to talk about Pittsburgh, and you know, we won't even talk about sports, let alone the economy. But the Pittsburgh market, jobs are now higher than they were before the recession. Cincinnati has not gotten back. In fact, most metropolitan areas still have a jobs deficit, say, relative to 07. So, yes, energy is an important part, but like here, manufacturing, medical care, it's not all an energy story, but that's a part of Ohio and Western Pennsylvania that's been quite positive in this region.
Oh, great. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us today,
welcome.
and we hope to have you back again sometime.
Look forward to it.
All right,
Thank you.
Thanks.